Bernie Sanders recently spoke at Jerry Falwell's Liberty University, but he didn't just speak there. He also took some questions from the audience. Now, abortion is a pretty big issue for people at Liberty, and so obviously that's going to be one of the number one questions that he's asked. So let's listen to him be asked and then listen to his answer.
This was probably the number one type of question that we got here, Senator. Senator Sanders, you've talked in your campaign about how it is immoral to protect the billionaire class at the expense of our most vulnerable in society, obviously children. You just mentioned that even in your talk with us earlier. A majority of Christians would agree with you, but here's the question. A majority of Christians would agree with you, but would also go further and say that children in the womb need our protection even more. How do you reconcile So the question, sir, is obviously you can see this is what they want to ask. Well, this is what's on there. How do you reconcile the two? And again, I know that you have a different view. I know that you, sir, and I don't have to be eye to eye on it, but I sense a real sincerity in you in wanting to see our children protected. Can you see, sir, how we see the child in the womb as the most vulnerable that needs protection?
I do understand.
Yes, sir.
But I do also understand, I understand this is an area where we disagree. I do understand and I do believe that it is improper for the United States government or state government to tell every woman in this country the very painful and difficult choice that she has to make on that issue. And I honestly don't want to be too provocative here, but very often conservatives say, you know, get the government out of my life. I don't want the government telling me what to do. But on this very sensitive issue, of which this nation is divided, a lot of people agree with you, a lot of people agree with me. But my view is, I respect absolutely a family that says, no, we are not going to have an abortion. I understand that. I respect that. But I would hope that other people respect the very painful and difficult choice that many women feel they have to make and don't want the government telling them what they have to do.
So there you go. He's pretty much making the case for freedom. I thought conservatives are supposed to be for freedom. Well, not on this subject, apparently. Now, once again, this is an argument that I often make, is that the government should not be involved in a woman's reproductive choices. That's not our choice. That's something that we shouldn't have big government come in and make choices for you. We don't agree. Now, that is the pro-choice position. Get the government the fuck out of my life and out of a woman's uterus. It does not belong there. Now, Sanders is going to take that argument. He's not only going to take that argument and expand it, he's going to expose the hypocrisy of the pro-life movement in the Republican Party. Let's watch that.
Now, I want to tell you what was in the Republican budget that passed a number of months ago. Check it out. You're thinking I'm not telling you the truth. When you talk about issues of children, understand, Republican budget threw 27 million people off of health care, including many children. At a time when many families cannot afford to send their kids to college. And I am running on a program, by the way, that says every public college and university in America should be tuition free. But at a time when families cannot afford to send their kids to college, Republican budget cut $90 billion in Pell Grants over a 10-year period. At a time when children in America are going hungry, Republican budget cut billions of dollars in nutrition programs, including money for the WIC program, which goes to low-income pregnant women and their babies. And to add insult to injury, in that budget, the Republicans provided over $250 billion over a 10-year period in tax breaks to the top 0.2%. I don't think that is a moral budget.
So here's the thing about right-winger politicians and some of the people in the pro-life movement. If you're going to be pro-life, you can't be against health care. You can't be against food assistance. You can't be against contraception. You can't be against proper sexual education. You cannot be pro-life and for the death penalty. These are obvious examples of hypocrisy, of issues that don't exactly make you appear to be pro-life. Remember, you need food to live. If you're against abortion, you should be for contraception. These are simple facts, right? And these are obvious examples of hypocrisy. As I said, Senator Sanders just Donkey Kong the pro-life movement right in their head. In the middle of one of their strongholds. No less. Look, when it comes down to it, we can't exactly take your movement seriously if you're against feeding hungry kids. Now, some of you guys will probably say, if you're a conservative watching, hey, wait a minute, I'm for feeding hungry children. I just don't think that's the government's job, right? I don't want the government doing it. I want churches to do it. Well, there's a problem with that. You see, churches don't have the reach of government. Government actually has more reach, and it's actually more effective than private charities and churches alone. That is a simple fact. We live in a world of facts. That's a fact. Now, the churches. Now, the churches do great work, right? Feeding people, such as food banks. But they can't reach the effectiveness of SNAP. SNAP is one of the most effective government programs that are fighting poverty. They cannot match that. They just can't. Food pantries, churches, they can't keep up with the need, with the demand that are placed on them. During the recession, you saw a lot of food banks saying, look, we want to help more people, but we just don't have enough. We don't have enough food. We don't have enough stuff for people that need it. That is an issue. And you throw more people on food stamps that need it, well, they don't have anywhere to go. These food pantries are tapped out. These churches are tapped out. They don't have the resources. Government does. And government is much more effective at delivering them. That's not to say churches don't have their place. It's not to say food banks don't have their place or charities. I'm just saying that government has that reach. And it can be very, very effective if done right. Now, as I said, this is why we have government. So we can do these things collectively. So we can all pitch in and help people who need it. And target the people who need the most help. That's something that charities and churches just can't do on their own. And so as I said, you can't call yourself pro-life. You can't call yourself pro-family if you're against policies that help families, that help children, or that help make sure that children aren't born into poor families, that prevent pregnancy in the first place, which is contraception and sex ed. These are facts. And I love to see Bernie Sanders call them out and to state the facts. And at the very least, I hope that got some people thinking. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. Maybe we should take a listen. Maybe we should look at these policies that traditionally the Republicans like Ted Cruz, who has come to speak at Liberty University, has traditionally championed. And take a look at those policies and say, well, how is this pro-life? How is this going to help families? Now, if you just get a few people in that crowd at least thinking about it, well, I'd call that a win.